All right, coming at you live, Full Contact Fanatics. We got a special guest in-house, Mr. Russ Miura from Subfighter.
That's right.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure, there's several other places you could have been on this fine Monday evening,
That
but
is
you
a
chose
fact.
to come hang out with us. We appreciate it.
That's right. And without further ado, my name is Dondo. This is 86.
Yo, what up?
Yep.
What's going on?
Got a full show for you, but we're going to start off by talking to Russ, finding out a little bit about his background and the journey he's had with not only fighting, but with jiu-jitsu, of course. Go ahead and take it away.
Okay, so basically I started this whole journey when I was 10 years old. And I know it sounds a little crazy, but I've essentially been training every day of my life since I was 10. I've been training for 26 years.
Wow.
So I started wrestling when I was 10, and I wrestled all through college, through Division I program. I was fortunate enough to be taught by a grandmaster in wrestling, two, in fact. When you think of what a grandmaster is in jiu-jitsu, like 10 stripes, I was actually educated by two of them in wrestling. I happened to wrestle for Clovis High, which was the winningest program in the history of California wrestling.
Unreal.
Absolutely. And I was taught a system of wrestling that I had no idea until I opened a school how valuable this teaching system would be. And so basically I was a state champion in 2001, wrestling for Fresno City College. And I continued my wrestling career at Cal State Fullerton. I started jiu-jitsu when I was 18 years old in Fresno, California, under a guy named Phil Snavely. And in 2002, I met Chris Brennan, who taught me most of what I know about jiu-jitsu, even still to this day. And in 2007, I was awarded my black belt. Also, 2007, I opened Subfighter MMA. Mm-hmm. I was a professor of the gym for about eight and a half years, and then the last year and a half I've been on my own, running my own academy, and it's been great. And also in 2010, I started my own jiu-jitsu tournament circuit, and the original reason why I started the tournaments was to get a lot of the younger competitors like mat time and experience.
Sure.
And it's not like when I started the tournaments, I was trying to make it some big tournament. I just wanted to make it like a small in-house local tournament to give a lot of the younger competitors mat time and experience and reasonable price, no politics, and just build a community from within my own gym so that people can kind of see what jiu-jitsu used to be like, where it was just like everything was chill and there was a lot less politics within jiu-jitsu in the sport than there is now, unfortunately. And I just try to make it, people ask me like, do you support IBJJF or do you not support IBJJF? I'm like, I support jiu-jitsu. Okay, that's exactly what I do. And my rule set, I made my rule set for the tournaments from the perspective of a practitioner, not as a way of keeping up with the other tournaments, And part of the reason why I have the rule set is there's not like a ton of rules. There's no twisting leg locks, and that's pretty much it, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason for that, even for kids, and people look at me like, "Dog, don't you think more kids are gonna get hurt?" It's like, nope. I've had in over 50 tournaments, I've had 3 or 4 serious injuries, and most of them have been off of takedowns versus like in submissions. And one of the things I say before each tournament is that, because my big tournaments are double elimination format and my in-house tournaments are round robin, you should not be getting injured from tapping too late, because if you tap out, you still have another match or another 2 matches, Yeah. So look at the time to compete as a method of like improving yourself, and then, it's okay to tap and then you come back and train the next day. And I think this is my theory as to why most practitioners don't reach the rank of black belt is because of injuries. And most of the time it's either because of training environment or it's from them not dealing with their ego, like them not tapping on time. Mm-hmm. And by the time you reach the rank of black belt, you should have learned that lesson by now, is you need to learn to respect the art and tap.
Yeah.
It's like, what's my key to longevity? I've been training for 26 years. oh, tap.
Yeah,
tap.
that's smart.
You know what I'm saying? It's that simple. But I try to preach that in the tournaments as well. It's like I'm trying to allow the younger competitors the same lessons that I was given, which is by doing Chris Brennan's tournaments when I first started. And that's how I gained a lot of my beginning competitive experience in jiu-jitsu. Is I just did in-house tournaments. And in 7 in-house tournaments, I had already accumulated 30 matches. And, you know, people hear that and they're like, you got 30 matches in 7 tournaments. And I'm like, yeah, I got 30 matches in a year, super, super fast. And they go, dude, I've done like 12 tournaments and I've got 18 matches. And I'm like, exactly. And in 12 tournaments, you spent $1,200. Yeah. I go, you do the math.
Goes quick.
Unless, you know, it's like guys that compete in IBJJF regularly, like Meow Brothers and Mendez and those guys, they have sponsors.
Oh, yeah.
So of course
so they
can
gotta pay.
Yeah, they don't. They don't really have to pay the entry fee and all of that stuff. So it's another one of my theories is that if you regularly compete in double elimination and in round robin format tournaments, you will mathematically have more matches after several years. Then you can start going into single elimination tournaments where you have all this experience built up. Right?
Build up the tools.
And, you know, it's like if you take, like, let's say your goal is to, you know, like, let's say hypothetically it's like to win Abu Dhabi or something, win something incredible, right?
You gotta aim high, right?
And yeah, you gotta aim high. But the question is like how many matches are going to be required for you to get at that level? And the answer is not 60. Yeah. The answer is like you need 300 or 400 matches to get there, okay? And you're not going to get there doing single elimination tournaments, period. Wow. So that is the fundamental reason why I started hosting the tournaments. I try before every tournament to give I give a little speech and I talk about how I'm not a tournament promoter. Like that's not what I do. Like I am a practitioner, and that is the reason why I'm here. I'm not trying to be like this guy. I'm not trying to be like this tournament. I'm not trying to be like this tournament. I am my own thing because my reasoning behind hosting the tournaments is unique only to myself. You know, and I think that's given me a ton of credibility and a very loyal following over the years. Is a lot of the teams that support our tournaments, they are what I call gamers. Yeah, they understand that they're like competition should be. You should look at it as an opportunity for you to get better. Yeah. Right. You know, there's 3 states. You have the physical state, which almost everybody will acknowledge. Right. When you gain a martial art skill, that is increasing the technical ability or the physical ability of the martial art. But there's also 2 other states. There is mind state and emotional state. And these 2 states get really tested in a competition. And the more that you train and the more that you do competitions, the faster that these 2 states will increase. Which means that if you keep training, you will get better faster than the guys that don't compete within your gym. I mean, that's pretty much a given. Pretty much at any school,
you become a hunter, man.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Sure. Those are the states that you are mastering faster than. I'm not saying you can't master the other states in practice because you definitely can, but it's different when you know
smell blood.
Exactly.
Or you're in the spotlight.
Yeah, correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. You will know how you would react in a self-defense situation. Yeah. You know, there's lots of people that I have met where they act super tough because they're pussies. I mean straight up. You act tough because you have to act tough because inside you're a pussy. Sure. You fold every time the going gets tough, right? And then you got like the pussy-looking kid that's a fucking man when he gets put in the spotlight. Yeah. You know?
No, I agree. Yeah, you're right.
Just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, you have to be afraid of the guy that's quiet, not the guy that's talking so much shit. Yeah.
That's for sure.
I agree. That's for sure. Wow.
Yeah, the sleeper. John does that stuff too, man.
Yeah.
No, I agree. You know, and it's funny because I think the place we train at shares the same philosophy. Well, around the same philosophy that you have. You know what I mean? As opposed
it's a beautiful thing to hear.
And the other thing, you know, that I've noticed with jiu-jitsu nowadays is that it kind of takes, like you mentioned, like a sport aspect, and it's lost like what I initially, at least my reasoning behind it was as a martial art, a self-defense sort of a thing, whether you grew up, getting picked on, or, you wallet got jacked or something like that, or you got jumped, by the kids in the neighborhood or something like that, whatever have you. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
And you also fought professionally, correct?
Yeah,
right?
Long Beach Fight Night.
Yeah. Long Beach Fight Night, yeah, we remember you from Long Beach Fight Night. Yep.
Yeah, my professional record is 10-1. So I was 10-1 as a professional fighter, and I didn't. Even in my very last fight, when Sherdog did the interview with me, he was like, you're one of the last guys that when you're answering the questions, you're almost like not answering as Russ Miura. You're answering as if like you were an entity of jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, I'm here to show everybody what the fuck jiu-jitsu is.
Yeah.
And I didn't see myself as a fighter. I didn't see myself as a professional fighter. I saw myself as a martial artist that's testing his martial art against professional fighters.
That's cool.
And that was one of the things I really enjoyed was that I guess in a certain way it's kind of like what Bruce Lee did, where he through street fighting he bettered and bettered, and he started to craft his martial art better and better and better. And that's why I know it's like sounds like not original, but the name of my academy is Russ Miura Jiu-Jitsu because it is my brand of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And what I teach has been crafted from my experiences in mixed martial arts. So I took out a lot of the sport jiu-jitsu stuff that I used to use that was almost not like ineffective in fights, but some of the things I was doing in sport jiu-jitsu was because I was athletically gifted.
Okay.
And I realized that maybe it's a flaw to teach just an athletic game because the 42-year-old guy that has 3 kids.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, not everybody's built athletically the
Correct.
same. Like you
Correct.
said, you have the older gentleman or you have the not so buff, ripped dude.
Right.
Whatever. Okay.
Yeah, and that's so we were talking about it earlier, but all of my teachings changed pretty much on one day. And one day, one of my students comes in and he's like all jacked up. He's got a scar, like his head, the back of his head is shaved, and there's this big scar in the back of his head. And he got jumped, and they were trying to take his wallet and all of this stuff, but he got hit with a beer bottle across the back of his head from behind. So he was like walking out of the bathroom and he didn't even know how he got on the ground, and he's getting stomped on the ground and all of this stuff. And this is like a regular guy. This guy's a dentist, right?
Oh, wow,
and
okay.
the only reason why he started training with me, because in his own words, he was like, yeah, you didn't seem like a tattooed like douchebag that was like trying to be like a tough guy.
Sure.
And that's the only reason why I started training with you. And he goes, he's like, I thought when I started training with you, you were just like a nice guy that was like okay at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, I had no idea that you could actually teach jiu-jitsu. And like as he's explaining to me the story of the altercation, as he's explaining to me, he's like explaining that he broke a guy's arm in an armbar. And the craziest thing was before this happened, he had asked me in class, like, I don't think I have what it takes to like really hurt someone. And I go, if your life is in danger, like your conscious mind leaves and your subconscious mind, so you're reacting as if you're an animal. So you are in instinctive state. And I go, your body will do what is necessary for it to do to protect your life. Every human being, I believe probably every animal has this. The most natural thing would be to fight.
Yeah.
Right, to protect your life, right? But it's like he has also a family of 2 daughters and he has a wife. And as he's explaining the story to me, he's like crying. He's like starting to cry. And
it's heavy stuff.
Because it's pretty heavy. And at the time, I'm like super cocky because I'm like I'm like I'm 25 or I think I'm about 25, 26. And he grabs me by my arm and he's like, no, you don't get it because you don't have a kid. He goes, but you will understand if you have a kid one day. So now I have a 4-year-old. And I've always thought about this one story because it's like,
you changed.
Yeah, if I was a regular dude And I just was taught a martial art for 4 months.
Yeah.
And then in the next month, I had to use it to protect my life and my family's life. You would value that person and that martial art for the rest of your life, you know. And then from that day, I started to teach. I started to change how I taught. So I wasn't just trying to make a competition school. I was trying to teach it to everybody, because it's like my value in life just increased because I just saved this motherfucker's life.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Your perspective was way different.
Like, almost like, you know, like just from like training with people, you know, like if this guy didn't do what I taught him, he for sure would have got jacked up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And that moment changed, and then it got really, really solidified for me when I had my kid. And so I have excellent competitors at my gym, but I have guys that also don't compete that are also really, really good, and they all kind of help each other out. So
nice.
I'm glad that I have that type of gym. I don't just have like, oh, I'm just going to train just talented kids, you know?
Sure, or meatheads.
Everybody.
Yeah, I have competitively, you know, I've done what I wanted to do, you know? I don't need to live through my students. I don't need any more glory. You know what I'm saying? Everything
cool,
is
man.
just
I can
in like
respect
how
that, for
I
sure.
can affect other people now.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's heavy, actually, man.
Wow.
That you can do that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because I mean, we've even said to whether it's like a question, you know, somebody who's more new to it has, you know, I've always said myself too, like you never want to teach them like not half-assed, but half-assed shit, but at the same time in proper technique, in the sense like you said, you know, just an example, you wouldn't do something you could get away with doing in a sport environment or aspect.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
And again, I have to use like this is a perfect example. I wouldn't, you know, berimbolo somebody on concrete.
Yeah. Good luck to you.
Right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah, or like a flying guard pole or something like
sure.
that.
Yeah, exactly,
Where you could
you know.
knock yourself out
Yeah.
doing a fucking move. Like, it's ridiculous.
You know,
And you know, if you are like, so one of my issues with a lot of jiu-jitsu schools is that the instructor himself, he has never tested it in combat. And I do have an issue with that, because it's like you don't want to learn from someone that didn't, you know, a fight is what we would call the truth.
Yeah,
Okay?
totally, for sure.
So what you do in sport jiu-jitsu, that is theory. That is theory. You think that is going to work in a fight, but you're testing it against the own practitioner. It's like a karate guy testing karate against karate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, well, what if a karate guy goes against a wrestler? What if you... And that's one of the things I enjoyed about mixed martial arts, is like every fight was very different. And jiu-jitsu adapts. Whatever martial artist that you are, it should adapt to the situation and the opponent. It should not be game planned.
Yeah,
You know
totally.
what I'm saying? That's a big thing that I teach. It is the center point of my symbol. So the center point of my symbol is a spear and a dagger that make an X.
We got it up behind us, so it's kind of a cool thing we wanted to talk about.
It is a symbolic reference for selecting the right weapon for the right job, which is basically the strongest thing that I teach is adaptation. Is you should be able to adapt from within the moment. You should do what your heart tells you to do in that moment. Okay, which means that if you are going to fight me, it would be hard to game plan against me, because I'm always changing.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, what do you do when plan A don't work? Oh, you do plan B. What do you do when plan B? It's like if you have thought, it's like what Bruce Lee said. Thought complicates engagement. Is totally. This is something that I have learned 100% through fighting.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
agree.
is that when you are thinking, you are out of the moment of the fight, right? Which means that you have to think before you act. That is a problem, because that is not how combat works. Like what I was just saying with my student, he got attacked from behind. So how would you game plan for getting
attacked?
hitting him with a beer bottle in the back of your head when you walk out of a 7-Eleven bathroom? You can't. But you're getting your head stomped on, and you have no idea how you got on the ground. you are adapting from within that moment.
Yeah.
And you're doing whatever. It's basically you're in an instinctive state.
That's cool, man. Like, yeah, totally. Because I mean, you know, even in a fight, like a MMA fight, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could go in there and say, all right, well, my game plan's gonna be double jab to the right, and then I'm gonna shoot whatever, right? But like you mentioned, game plans go out the window like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The moment you get punched.
Yeah, the moment you get punched, what you're just like, fuck. What was I gonna do? You know, and like then you start thinking you're not doing. You know, and the next thing you know, you're in trouble. What you know, and like you said, perfect example again. You know, when you're coming out of a bathroom, when you're walking down the street, you're walking with your dog, you're jogging, whatever, and some dude, you know, if he's coming after you, he's coming after you. There's no second guessing it. Yeah. Like you got that moment to think. You're, you know, not even think. You just do. I mean, probably not a horrible reference, but I always think of. You guys ever watch that movie Road Trip?
Yeah, of course.
You know, remember where he goes outside and he's like, I almost died today, you know, and the old man's like, you gonna pass that doobie? And you know, and he's like, you know, you're too much this, not enough balls, you know, which I'm like, dude, he's fucking right. You think too much. Stop thinking and just do, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally dig that, dude. That's cool.
You're all hard. I love that about you.
No,
that's exactly it. You nailed it.
There's no other way to put it.
You nailed it. Yeah.
So, going back to your symbol, you know, I think is cool about it is that it's not like every other jiu-jitsu symbol where they either take that weird triangle and flip it to like some three-dimensional thing.
Everything's a triangle.
Whatever.
Right.
You know? So how did you come up with that symbol?
Okay, so my symbol is one of the greatest things. Like, I'm very proud of my symbol. My symbol is actually made from one of my best students. So on a plane ride home from Japan, a 13-hour plane ride home from Japan, this guy that sat next to me, he is listening to my philosophies for 13 hours. I mean, 13 hours is a long time.
Long time, man.
It's a long time. Okay. And I mean, we talk for 13 hours about everything, about like my, previous coaching, the programs that I wrestled for, the people that taught me jiu-jitsu, how I bettered my jiu-jitsu through fighting, how I teach what I learned through fighting and all of this stuff. And he asked me if I will accept him as a student of his. And this dude lives in Burbank, right? So he drives from Burbank to Laguna Hills 3 times a week just to train with me. And it's like, there's a lot of jiu-jitsu schools you pass, like 5 freeway.
About 500.
Even though it's in Southern California, that's still far.
It's a long,
you know what I'm saying?
It's a long way.
And like you said, not to mention, you pass a lot of schools. You can pass all these popular, you know, these dudes on TV.
It's a 2-hour ride any way you look at it.
Well, yeah. But I'm saying, like he said, you pass so many schools that, you know.
Over the course of 7 years, he has, in private lessons and also in group classes, he has recorded every single theory, every single principle, every single technique I have ever taught in a journal. You know, like the journals that you would get in school. But he has 7 journals that are 90 pages filled. 7. Okay? That is the guy that made my symbol. So you can't think of a better guy.
Holy shit.
That could make my symbol, okay? And my symbol is made, it was created, it was not Googled, and you know, it's like we didn't type in like tough looking logo into Google and then selected the second one, you know. So anyway, okay, so the middle is Spear and the Dagger, and it represents your ability to adapt. You overcome through your ability to adapt. Okay, the kanji on the left means basically means no kata, or no form, which means that there is no preset patterns you have to adhere to. So there's nothing set in stone that you have to do, okay? The kanji on the right means flow, and this is another important part of what we teach, because flowing is the way you learn about someone. Okay, it's like you're in tune with the energetic part of what's going on, right?
It's the dance.
It's the yes.
It
It is
a good way to put it.
the dance.
It is. It's like surfing.
When you can, yes, very good. Is you are in tune with the energetic state of what's going on in the engagement, okay? And I'll tell you, the martial artist that does this the best is Conor McGregor. He can sense the energetic changes in the fight, which is it's a whole nother level of martial arts. But flowing also, so it's like I haven't had a teacher for a decade. So I haven't had a teacher longer than I've had a teacher in jiu-jitsu, right? So it's like the question is like, how do I keep getting better? Flowing is the teacher. Flowing is the teacher. You feel everything. You feel everything. You adjust in your heart. You adjust an instinctive state. So you're practicing an emotional state and a mind state continuously. And I have called out, not personally, but I've called out a lot of black belts that do not have this ability, because there's lots of people that can't flow. They can't flow for shit. I mean, period. They're like everything they do is force, and everything they do is like takes a lot of effort, and they get tired every time. But they're black belts, right? Is like you will really learn the value of jiu-jitsu when you don't use any strength or any physical part. It's like you become aware of what they're doing. You set up ahead of them. You can feel what the intentions are. You can feel what makes them feel vulnerable. So flowing is a huge part of what we teach, but flowing is also emotional mastery. That is another thing. If you look at the people that cannot flow, their emotional state, there is something wrong in their emotional state. They're frustrated.
That's a fact.
They are
egotistical.
Insecure. They are driven by ego, okay? And this will complicate this state.
The meathead state of mind, it's all that.
Correct. And even like with black belts that like as they get older, of course, you're just going to do more and more steroids because you just got to keep it going. Because you can't rely on your technique. You got
to feed the animal.
Yeah, you can't rely on your technique. And that is the other part. That's the second kanji on the right. Okay, so there is a upside down triangle that is above the spear and the dagger. Okay, that is my former instructor Jeremy Williams, who passed away from suicide in 2007, and it was a horrific moment in all of our lives. It was, and I don't even know if I've been told something so. I don't know if you guys have been told something so traumatic that you just don't believe it. Like you're like, nah, that's not. Nah, didn't happen. Like it's almost like you're like, nah, it didn't happen. Like he's dead.
There's no way to humanly digest it.
I talked to him last night, bro. He's fine.
Yeah.
No. You know, and it wasn't until a month after he died that I just mourned him. It was like there was a delay in me mourning him. Like I didn't even cry until 1 month later. It hit me like that. And you know, Apex stood for many things that my gym also stands for. Okay, and one of the things is that Jeremy ran his academy very much like Chris Brennan ran his academy, and I learned very important aspects about business from training with Jeremy Williams and training with Chris Brennan. And one of the qualities is you just show them a quality, right? If you use good instruction and great environment, they'll just keep coming. Right? Is like you got to have control over everything that happens from within your gym. And it has served me well. It has served me very well, and it's helped me with kids, everything. You know? But me and a few other guys continued Subfighter MMA in memory of Apex, which was Jeremy Williams' gym. We could not use the Apex name because the wife was gonna, Jeremy's wife was gonna sue us, which is insane. But we dealt with a lot of things even after he died.
Oh wow.
Which kind of really painted a bigger picture as to like why he committed suicide. But and then so there is a kanji on the top, or excuse me, there is a symbol on the top that is a lotus flower. Okay, and this is the deepest thing of anything that I ever teach. So I really want everyone that's paying attention to really, really pay attention. But there is a spiritual discipline from within jiu-jitsu that people do not acknowledge. And I've had many conversations with people about this, and people don't seem to know what I'm talking about. But the lotus flower is a sign of your seventh chakra, which is your connection to the spirit state or spirit body or spiritual realm, okay? And the first time I was ever out of my body, I was doing jiu-jitsu for about 3 hours straight I was sleep deprived.
Okay.
So if I didn't start to study any of these things like out-of-body state until after this experience. So I had no idea that this is even freaking possible. Mm-hmm. So you can only imagine, like, I'm like, so as at an open mat, I used to run Jeremy's open mat. And then I was like, what time is it? They're like, oh, dude, it's like 8. So I'd run open mat from about 5 to 8. It's like 8:20. I'm like, yeah, I think I just went out of my body for a long-ass time. And I was like, what happened? They're like, dude, you pieced up everybody. You pieced up like 30 people 3 times through. And I was like, oh, okay. But this is the reason why it's so important for me to get this message out, is that in this out-of-body experience, I basically have this very, very life-changing experience in which I am, I don't know how to explain the entity, but it's more like there's like a perfected version of me, or you could call it God, or like you could put any spiritual name on the entity.
Sounds like a samurai.
But it's basically telling me, like, everything you are is fake. And I'm like, what? I'm good. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's basically saying, like, yo, everything that you are is a ranking to yourself. So you value yourself upon the ranking that you are, you know, in jiu-jitsu and all of this stuff. And it's basically saying, like, this holds you back in life. This is holding you back from becoming the practitioner that you are capable of becoming. Mm-hmm. You hold yourself back by limiting yourself in thought. And then I started to realize how much pressure I had put on myself to win or lose. And that's when my jiu-jitsu was the worst, was when I was trying to win.
I got you. That makes
sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like when I'm just flowing and doing what I love to do, that's when I'm my best. When I love what I'm, like, I love performing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know? And another thing that I learned from this out-of-body experience is that at the time, it was right after Eddie Bravo submitted Hoyler the first time in 2003 Abu Dhabi, and I was like trying to do his rubber guard, and like Jeff Glover had this like triangle thing he did, and I was trying to do his thing, and then it was like in this out of body state, it's showing me who I am to the people that I looked up to. So they're like, yeah, they're afraid of your passing, they're afraid of your takedowns, they're afraid of your leg locks, and they're afraid of your head and arm choke. You need to develop that, because that is what makes you you. He goes, you are wasting your talent as a practitioner. You will never become a master if you're trying to master other people's things. You become a master by mastering the things that you are the master of.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, I was like, wow. When I come back from that day, I had everything changed. Everything changed. So even though I lost after that, I really didn't care about losing. I looked at it as like a stepping stone of me getting better. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It wasn't like how I looked at losing before that, where after that experience, I realized how much of a pressure that all competitors put on themselves to identify their success through wins and losses. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Sure.
It does, yeah.
Okay. The basis of their competition is
I
just
can honestly,
that.
maybe not an out-of-body experience, but I've felt for a split second getting ready for a fight where I'm like, geez, like, you know, I don't know about, you know, losing or whatever. And some, you know, obviously when you have a good support system, in my case, like my wife and stuff, and I got to the point where I was like, dude, like, I'm sure I'd be a bigger, like, disappointment, not just to my peers, to my school, to my, you know, to the people that I train with, to the people who help me get to where I'm at, but to myself, you know, if I'm just too busy, like, concerned with what winning, you know, is winning nice? Of course it is. You know what you know what I mean? But I got to the point where I was just like, dude, I'm just gonna go out there and just do it. That's
Do
it,
what you do.
know? And again,
Yeah.
it goes back to what you mentioned earlier of
do what you love.
just do it. You know what I'm
just
saying?
do it. Yeah, just be in the zone and do what
Yeah.
you do, and then everything will take care of itself. And the wins and losses will guide you.
Yeah.
They will guide
course.
you, right? The biggest illusion. So, the biggest illusion for me in life, and all of life, and I hope this helps people that are listening, is that the biggest illusion in life is that you are seeking acceptance from other people.
Oh, dude, yeah.
That is the biggest illusion.
Yeah.
I will tell you how you reach your sense of inner peace.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you become okay with you. You set a standard from within yourself. You stick to that standard, okay? And then you realize that you're doing good, right? And because that's what you think of yourself, you really don't give a fuck what other people think.
I totally agree.
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's when you become free. Even free as an artist, right?
Sure.
You don't feel
Totally.
like confined to please this person, to please
Sure.
this person, to please this person. You're
Because even aside from that, I mean, I always say too, like, you know,
Do what you do is what you tell me. Do what you do best.
That
Yeah.
and then I, you know, other people. I just, you know, I'm like, you know, not everybody you come in contact with in life is gonna like you. Not everybody's gonna hate you. You know what I'm saying? So it's just almost like, again, I know it's just repetitive, but it's just you know, you do
Yeah.
your thing, what
Yeah.
makes you happy.
I like that.
You know?
I know this sounds like very cliche, or it comes from a movie or something, which I'm sure it probably comes from a bunch of movies. But it's like, you know, how when people are saying like, don't follow what you think people want for you. You follow what is in your heart. So what was in my heart was like jiu-jitsu, the whole, like from day one, it's like changed my life dramatically.
Of course.
Right? And that is where my professional career took me, is like I'm just doing what I love, and it comes out in how I teach, right? I believe that if every human being did that, the world would be a pretty sweet place, because
People would be better
find
about themselves.
What they really love to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
It's
saying?
what you're here
It's like-
for.
Yeah, it's like exactly. You do
When you
what
really think
came
about
here
it that
for.
way,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. You
What are
know,
you
'cause
spinning your wheels for?
Because
Yeah.
even at that, if you had that same mindset of like, you know, whatever, dude, I don't give a shit what people think, you know, it's like, the way I see it too is you're less prone, in my opinion, to criticize other people for what they do. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
The problem with worrying about what other people think is there are people that are not certain who they are. So
That is
what their
true.
opinion
Yeah,
of
yeah.
you
Oh,
is
yeah.
is invalid
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah. If you let me tell you something. If you got haters, that means you're doing good.
Yeah.
Because that means you're doing something. I'm telling
Shit,
you.
I must be fucking a
you
billionaire
have-
if that's the case.
if you got haters, that means you're doing really good,
Yeah.
because it means you're doing something that other people can't do.
Sure.
Okay. And you should learn to embrace your fans, and also embrace your haters, because you need them too.
Yeah.
you actually need
you know,
them too.
someone's got to motivate
Yeah.
you, you know?
Yeah.
It all shapes you. It all
Yeah.
plays a part in shaping the character that you have or don't have. You're going to get exposed.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and in this game, yeah.
I also like the point you made earlier when you said, you know, flowing. Like that to me is big too, because, you know, I'll give you a perfect example. I wanted, like, the very first jiu-jitsu class that I ever took, first few classes actually that I ever took, I rolled with a gentleman. He was teaching at the place that I'm still doing jiu-jitsu at. I'm sure you know him, Thomas Kenny.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the dude that actually taught me my first class, like for a week. At that time, our head instructor John Delao was going through cancer. He was he was sick, the whole 9 yards. So Thomas basically
Stood up. Took care of
stepped
us.
up to the plate and took care of everything. Anyways, getting to the point. Rolling with him, right? I had no idea what the hell jiu-jitsu was. You know, some dude gave me like a card and was like, "Oh, check this out." Again, going back, you know, you get into some trouble, whatever. You get
Get hit in the
jumped,
head
you
with
get
a
in a fight,
bat.
you get hit with a bat. You know, so whatever. You know, it is
Time to
what
go
it
do
is, you know?
jujitsu.
Yeah. So you know, I walk in and sure enough, he's teaching the classes. All right, cool. What was a mind fuck to me was, you know, he's always, you know, you know him well, I'm sure. He was always a bad motherfucker, you know. And here I'm thinking, like, dude, this guy's gonna, like, fuck me up. He's gonna kill me, you know what I'm saying? And again, what like really, like, twisted me up was The dude used no form of strength.
Yeah.
He just like set me up. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? There's no other way I could describe it.
Yeah.
Used no force. You know, I can't even tell you the shit he like did to me.
And you're super gassed out, and he's not.
And he's not, you know.
You're
and like I
drowning.
said, the thing I was just like, he really could have.
Yeah.
Obviously, if he wanted to, you know, he could hurt anybody. But I was like, dude, like, he used no strength, no force, not one grunt, not one.
It's the same story I think we all have. And I
Yeah,
think we,
you know
at
what
that
I'm saying?
moment,
Yeah.
we're committed. You either fight or flight. You're committed at that moment to
Yeah.
learn.
You know what I mean? What's up? What's up?
Since we're talking about Tommy, he's a pretty big supporter of us, and he's on pretty much every show, so he's watching right now.
Cool. Thank you,
Peace.
Tom.
Thank you.
What's up, Thomas?
We got a lot of people actually today. It's
Cool.
Peace. He is a big supporter, and
probably
we
like
appreciate that
4
big time.
times as much people on Facebook right now watching.
Kill it.
Nice. That's awesome. Because this shit's fucking cool right now.
Hard
'Cause
work
usually
pays
I
off.
would rattle off everybody's name, but there's so many of them. Like, yeah.
Thank
I
you,
don't-
Well,
guys.
to everybody who continues to watch
Yeah,
regularly, we appreciate it. We really do. Thank
that's
you.
right. And people watching Russ, especially. You know?
Yes. Thank you guys.
I know
Yeah.
he's got his people. That's
Did,
awesome.
Did Tommy laugh at you guys when he was doing? Because he likes to laugh at me quite a bit.
No,
Every time I
actually,
try something, he
didn't
just
laugh
laughs at me. He
Are
just
you
shuts
talking
shit
about
down.
now or your first day? Because his first day,
Oh yeah, he's nice in the first.
Come on.
episode.
Yeah. Eventually, he laughs.
Yeah. So yeah. So there's like sometimes like when someone like really cocky comes in, instead of like piecing them up with submissions, is like, because I'm like about 155 pounds. I'm not very big. So sometimes they look at you and they're like,
I'll
You're the
fucking cream
instructor,
this dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
so what I'll do is like I'll hold them in like an S mount with Who's Your Daddy, and instead of like submitting them, I'll from S mount I'll just start coaching the rest of my guys while I'm just holding them there because they can't move. It's like slowly suffocating them, but it's like you got to break down the mental state of the ego.
yeah.
I totally
But
agree.
yeah, no.
Break 'em
but
down to build 'em back up.
Realistically, I mean, if you're a teacher and you're trying your best to teach someone what jiu-jitsu is about, that is what you do. You don't just like physically beat their ass,
Yeah.
right? You technically just
Beat their
demolish.
ass,
Yeah,
yeah.
you technically just demolish them.
You mentally,
Where
like,
you sometimes
fuck them.
you give them what they want to get,
Yeah.
only for them to get submitted. You give them everything that you give them everything, and they get like everything has like a roadblock.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
You know the path already,
And
so.
yeah, that is essentially what a teacher should be doing when they're rolling with someone that's very new. Is like, you know how like people say that you have more of a chance of getting injured by like a brand new guy than like someone
Than somebody more
okay,
spazzing out.
but that's why you flow with them.
Yeah.
You just flow with them because you're not going to get hurt that way.
Yeah.
Right. If you're trying to dominate.
Well, you set the pace.
Yeah. Exactly. You just go with what they give
Yeah.
you. Right. And that is what I laugh about, is how like a lot of the jiu-jitsu instructors now they'll like piece up a guy physically because they can't flow. It's like you guys haven't really even learned the value of jiu-jitsu
Sure.
until you can just sit back and do tech. Like in the worst shape I've ever been in, the worst shape. I mean like pretty much like, so one example is I had a shoulder surgery. I was out for like 7 months. The first time I came back to like the first day I rolled for like an hour and a half straight, is because you can do that if you're just doing technique, right? I mean, I lost probably at least 10 pounds of muscle in the time that I was not lifting weights, you know. And if you're in bad shape but you have great technique, you should be able to roll for like 30 minutes to an hour, even with a lot bigger guys, right? And it is like with being a teacher, it is the fundamental way that you should teach people.
Yeah.
Is by flowing with them so that you can get them to understand almost all of the components of what jiu-jitsu is about, right? I can just go in there and take,
Oh, of course.
but you're going to give me and then I'll take. You know what I'm saying? There's a big difference
That's smart.
between that where it's like, you know, like someone that has no idea of what jiu-jitsu is. They're like, so the first time, you know, like I try to put my head down and, you know, you guillotine me. So the next time I put my head up and you armbar me. So the next time I put my head in medium state and you triangle me, you know, it's like they're trying to give that breakdown of like what their experience is. And they're like, you know, I just realized that you're probably the guy that should be teaching me this stuff. You know, it's just funny. But yeah, I mean that is like something. I have several flow masters in my gym. It's something I'm very proud of because, like I said, the original state that flowing is an emotional state, which means that like you don't take anything as like nothing will affect you in the judgment of your technique, right? So it's like not like you're like he does something that you're like, oh, F you, and then you do something. When in the state where you're like F you, and then you do something, that whatever technique you chose probably not the right technique. Yeah, you know. It's not that puzzle piece that fits perfectly. Which is what flowing teaches you. Yeah, flowing teaches you. Oh, this goes here, goes here, goes here, goes here, goes here, and it's like, oh, I don't, you know, you don't waste energy. You know,
it's a pretty solid way of putting it. You know, I think you know, like you said, a good amount of good practitioners, you know, think that way. I know a lot of people. It's hard for them to put it or describe it.
Sometimes it takes years.
You know,
you know, to learn that concept.
That's cool, man. I could totally dig that.
We've got
we actually got a little room next door.
Yeah, the mini dojo. We got a little opportunity for Russ to do a demonstration.
If you don't mind, if you'd be so kind.
Absolutely.
Art is over there. He's getting warmed up.
We got
He's
our little
ready.
buddy Art. He's gonna be the guinea pig. Look at him. Look at him. He's like, I got this, dude.
Yep.
You know.
Thank you, Russ.
All right, let's see. He's gonna check it out. What's up? All right, we'll pass it on to them. They might need to speak a little bit louder, just so they can hear or whatever, be heard.
Okay. So being heard. Okay, guys. So we're gonna start from just a modified version of an arm lock swing drill that will really help out everybody master their arm bars a little bit better. So our partner's gonna start with the hands on the shoulders right here. Okay, and I can start with a frame. That's cool. My free hand goes underneath the leg, and I'm using this grip to pull myself around to the arm. Okay, so that's one. Okay, I release, and I'm pulling with my hamstring tension. So I spin to the other arm bar. Okay, on the third arm bar, watch. I swing. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sweep into S mount. Okay, so I'm in the S mount position. I'm gonna go hamstring curl, 1. I go back to S mount, hamstring curl, 2. Okay, on the third one, I hamstring curl, and then I finish my arm. Boom. Should I show you again? Yeah. Okay. All right, so smooth. So I'm gonna go 1 arm lock, 2 arm locks, 3 arm locks into my sweep. I base up into S mount. Okay, so my hand is gripping my thigh, and I have my base hand here. Hamstring curl, 1. Hamstring curl, 2. Hamstring curl, and then we finish 3. Good. Yeah.
Nice. That's pretty dope.
That was clean and that was cool and that was good to have Russ inside the mini dojo.
That's right.
Was I in the center?
Yeah,
Everything came out perfect. Yeah, for sure.
If you see that bowling ball of a head in the middle, that's exactly where you were.
So.
And thank you, Little Art, for being our demonstration body.
For the night.
It's all good.
Very cool.
So, real quick. Okay, so you said you earned your black belt in 2007. You said, right?
2007.
And now who blessed you with that? If you
Rick Estrada, who is the founder of Subfighter.com. Subfighter.com was the largest technique website in the world from 2003 to about 2005 or 6, and then we stopped Subfighter, and then we opened Subfighter MMA, the gym. That's why we kind of kept the name Subfighter, is because of Rick's existing thing. But I mean, at one time he had more hits than the UFC site, than Sherdog. He had more hits. The only one that got less hits was the Underground, the forum.
Okay.
That was the only one that got I think Subfighter was 3. But it was the largest jiu-jitsu. It was basically like YouTube for jiu-jitsu before YouTube.
Yeah.
Right?
So out of Apex, Jeremy had passed on.
Right.
And then Subfighter had come about with Russ and a couple other guys.
Yeah. So the other thing that was very traumatic for a lot of people is that Jeremy had made it known to the students that he was promoting me and Rick to the rank of black belt. So everybody knew that whatever happened, it was like a spur of the moment thing. Like everybody's like, oh well, sometimes when people commit suicide they plan it. This was not planned. Okay. You know, this was definitely not planned. He left a lot of things that were just completely up in the air, completely.
People do tie up loose ends.
Yeah.
There's signs and there's things, and
correct.
Someone's gonna catch it. And if you don't, you're not watching.
Right. And this one was not planned at all.
Sure.
And so Giuliano Prado did, he was a good friend of Jeremy's. He did basically Subfighter MMA a favor by promoting Rick to the rank of black belt, and then Rick promoted me to the rank of black belt. But that was
unfinished business.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. It was completely because he had kind of made it known, not just in the Apex circle, but also in the jiu-jitsu circle as well, that like we were basically getting our black belts, you know. And it was then that happened, and then 1 month later, so he committed suicide on Cinco de Mayo 2007. On June 5th 2007, we had already had Subfighter up and running. That's how much we got everything up and running, like really, really quickly, you know.
Wow. Man. Yeah.
Well, you guys were living it, though.
I remember that back,
I do
back
too.
in the day.
I do too, yeah. Very shortly after, there was a couple other incidents too in Laguna Niguel.
Yeah.
You know, Justin Levins and, you know, there's stuff going on.
So that was another friend of mine that we lost. Not exactly sure how, but he was in a very bad emotional state when Jeremy committed suicide. And, you know, Jeremy was like the mentor of everybody, so he kind of kept people that were like borderline in trouble, he kept them out of trouble. Yeah. You know, and I don't think Justin had that after Jeremy died. So that was very unfortunate. That was rough. That was rough because you talk about losing like one, then you lose two, and you're like, dude, I can't take much more of this. Yeah. You know, it was really that was really tough. Yeah, sure. It was really tough.
Man, well, you know, right now it seems like you have a good thing going. You know, and if anybody out there who's checking this out would be more interested in checking out your school, checking out your academy, where would they find you?
Okay, so my tournament website is subfighterbjj.com, and that would be to register and enter for our tournaments or just learn about our tournaments. And then my site for my gym is russmiurasubfighter.com, and they could go to that website and find out anything you guys want to find about.
If we can put that up behind
gym.
us.
Put it up in front while he talks through it.
Yeah, please do.
But, please do. One of the best things about having your own gym is you can make it exactly the way that you envision it, and that helps because it's like if you stand for certain things and you cannot make the gym the way you need to, it's sort of like it was time for me to have my own spot, you know.
In order to build something, you need a strong foundation, and that has to be built upon the things that you believe in.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not building anything.
It's like, I mean, at the end of the day, you have what you stand for.
That's right, and that's the foundation.
Okay, and I stand for a lot because I've been through a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
When it comes to certain things with sport jiu-jitsu, there are certain things I just won't let my students do. I'm like, you're not gonna turtle because some guy turtles.
Why teach them to compromise, right?
I'll smack you in the back of your head.
That reminds me of I don't know if you caught it. If you ever seen that little Renzo Gracie thing,
Legacy,
Legacy,
where he's yelling at
his cousin.
Yeah,
Daniel,
the big
Daniel,
guy. Yeah,
Daniel,
yeah.
where
he's
he-
all, don't do that.
That
somersault
somersault.
bullshit.
Yeah.
No, because I mean, dude, that's a master telling
But
you
that's
that shit.
dope,
don't
you know?
don't do that shit.
Yeah, you know, or
You
how
look
he
like
tells
an
him, you know,
idiot.
take that,
He's
shove
all-
it up your ass.
yeah,
If you
he's
spend
all-
less
yeah.
time beating off, whatever.
Yeah. He's all try doing that in an MMA fight. See what happens.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is a jiu-jitsu master that's telling you that when you stray from the basics, it'll get you jacked up, right? There's another thing that I really learned about fighting.
Thank you, actually. That's something I think I was trying to spit out earlier, too. Basics, foundation.
Yeah.
You know, again, foundation,
Yeah.
the fundamentals, you know.
Advanced
Yeah.
basics.
Okay, so this is something that will probably blow most people's minds, but it blows my mind every day because the first time I met his name is Steven Terrapelli. He was the head coach of Clovis High, and I believe he's retiring this year from Clovis High. He retires the winningest coach in the history of California wrestling. He's more successful than John Azevedo at Calvary Chapel.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this is what he told me. He goes, think about it. This is true in any discipline in life. I'm like, all right, go ahead, just break it down. He's all, if there is a 2 to 3 year period of time in which the individual is spent mastering the basics, they will win 80% of all matches, or they will be better than 80% of all practitioners in their field after 2 to 3 years. He's all, even if you do Kung Fu, you practice basics in Kung Fu for 2 to 3 years. He goes, this is what the problem is people practice the basics for a year and they start straight off and doing their own stupid bullshit.
Yep.
Right? He goes, one thing I could tell you is that there is a massive jump from year 2 to 3, and after 3 years, you are in state championship contention. What we did at Clovis High, it's not like
Rocket science.
no,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
it's not. It really isn't. And I mean, like, so Clovis High is also notorious for peaking for the state tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so some of the coaches, when I moved down here, they were like, how does Clovis High peak their wrestlers so good? Like, what are they doing at the end of the season? And I go, honestly, they're like, yeah, we really want to know. I'm like, okay. We're playing dodgeball for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we drill for about 25 minutes.
Staying loose.
Yep.
Because all of the hard work of the season's already done, right? And you're just fine-tuning to beat certain guys that you need to beat to get the goals that you want to get, right? And a lot of something that I learned in wrestling is you want to get good at jiu-jitsu, you master how to drill. You master it. You drill with someone that also knows how to drill. You'll get better every day, right? I've met black belts say horrible drilling. Horrible. They can't simulate anything. It's like, that's what holds you back.
Yeah.
You'll never get much better than you already are because there is a skill that is designed for learning, and it's drilling, and you don't have it. You don't have it.
Wow.
You know, it's like you have to go back and remaster yourself to drill properly, right? I could get a week worth of practicing in about an hour or hour and 15 minutes because that's how well I could drill.
Yeah.
Right. Clovis High, we do 300 shots, 300 takedowns. Practice.
Practice, yeah.
But that was in the big volume of our training, right? That was in the middle part of the season. But it's not easy. I'll
Shit,
tell
no,
you
you
that.
still have
No, it's
knees?
not. Yeah.
You know, it's like I've drilled probably like tens, probably 100, a lot of, probably like 50,000 shots at least in my lifetime. A lot. So many shots. And I could do
sometimes
it.
no
I
matter
could
how
do it
boring
if
they
I'm,
can get,
yeah, if
you
I'm
just do
90,
another
if I'm
50,000.
99% knocked out, I could shoot a perfect double.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. You know, and that's something that I've carried over from wrestling into jiu-jitsu. And even with regular students, there's always a payoff. There's always a payoff. It's like I'm very hard. I want them drilling harder than like actually when they're rolling.
Yeah.
Because it simulates a harder intensity. Like so there's levels of drilling, right? Level 1 would be you just learn a new technique, right? Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Level 2 would be you make step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 one motion. Then the next would be speed. Then the next would be repetition. Then the next would be with resistance. Then the next would be with resistance, with setups, with finishes. I call it sequencing, right? So there's levels of drilling, and people don't acknowledge this. It's like, well, it's like just drilling an armbar, right? But you didn't drill the setup to the armbar. You just drilled the armbar, right? The hand fighting to the setup, to the armbar finish. That is the most value of drilling. It's like you're sequencing how it would actually happen, right?
Man.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was.
This man definitely has a brain to pick.
But it's
much further.
I could go another hour. I just feel like we just did 5 minutes, but it's been an hour.
Yeah.
So
because there's like so much more. Like
I know he's
really,
got
that's
a lot
what
more
I'm
to
saying.
say.
Like, I'm like, dude, this man has a definitely that's somebody's brain you want to pick.
we didn't even hit him with his experiences with sports jiu-jitsu.
No,
like
no.
EBI with Eddie Cummings.
It's coming.
All that.
I think all that's coming, but we leave this on a note where
We'll leave somebody like wanting more.
Russ has a tournament coming up on July 9th.
Yep.
And let's pull those.
If you could pull that up so we can
Again,
end
you
with
said
that
it
note.
was Subfighter BJJ.
Subfighter, BJJ.com.
Okay. Somebody want to blast that?
So no gi summer challenge, men,
we
women,
go.
kids, all ages.
Yep.
2 matches guaranteed.
Yep. And I give you a free acai bowl.
What?
Acai for
Dude.
everybody.
Yeah.
If you don't eat yours, give it to me.
Yes.
Hey, I mean, I'd be the first to say I've gone, to other farther cities to where unfortunately it's like a single elimination, and it's even like, dude, like we just drove down here,
Yep.
spent all day at a gym,
Yep.
You get a little antsy, all for and they charge like $30 for it. Not
Yeah.
really, but you know what I'm saying, just about.
Yeah.
I got a question. So if people want to come to your dojo and they want to train with you, you want to give them some times and information.
Go to the website. It's all up there.
It's all
Russ,
up there.
Russ Miura Subfighter.
You didn't build a
Yeah,
website for
my
nothing.
My schedule's right there.
The schedule's up there, so best just to go to the site. If you're in South Orange County, look them up.
If you're in Southern California, look them up.
There you go.
Really,
Absolutely.
Even
if you live in Burbank, look at
Even if you
Look 'em
live in
up.
Burbank, ain't nothing
We're
going
Ocean.
on.
I have another guy that comes from Oceanside
Jesus.
4 times a week. Yeah.
wow.
All right, man. Well,
We totally appreciate your time.
That's right.
Definitely.
Thank you guys.
Definitely,
It's
big
awesome.
time.
Yeah.
there's a part 2 to this because there's a
Yes.
whole other story
You're
we got to
always
go
welcome
after.
here,
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you,
Definitely
Russ.
appreciate your
I'll
time.
definitely come back.
I love it.
Subscribe, check us out, follow
Yeah. See
the
you
whole
guys.
9 yards. Russ Miura Jiu Jitsu, check them out. Definitely.
Yep. See you next Monday.
You won't regret it.
No.
Definitely.
Mondays, 8 o'clock, we'll contact Fanatics.